Hello everybody, today we'll be discussing Power Season 2. Back to my television review series. Just got finished watching this one. It is a Starz original. I watched it on Hulu. The season structure is 10 episodes, an hour long. And I'll do the typical thing for these ones. I will give you my overall graded impressions. I will give you my plot synopsis. Well, after that, I will give you my grade. I'll give you my impressions and my overall grade. After that, if you've not seen the show and would like to, you want to shut off the video, there will be spoilers throughout. So then we'll discuss the plot synopsis and character development. Major themes, question mark, no, just a typical crime drama. So season 1, I believe I gave a C+. So I didn't really think there was much. I thought the characterizations was rather juvenile, and the plot didn't move that well. This season, I'm going to bump it up 2 spots to just a solid B. I thought the plot development was a lot better this season. I thought the characterization was still a little goofy sometimes. Just not a consistent tone throughout sometimes. It wasn't off-putting or anything. But I thought the plot development was much more developed. It wasn't super, nothing super new or super novel or super jumping out. It's like, wow, didn't see that coming. But certainly enough characterization and plot development where it's like it didn't feel slow or just like in season 1 just felt like we're always talking about the club truth. And so this one seems like there's a lot more just like criminality in it, and for a crime drama that's what I'm going for. So I thought the plot moved along way better. Characterization still a little shaky in places. Relationships amongst each other still kind of shaky in places. But overall better, more crime. Or not even more crime, just more plot development in general. So overall B, I find it entertaining. I probably will watch season 3. I haven't really found something else on Hulu, but there was, again, enough plot development where season 3 seemed intriguing to me. So that's my overall grade of Power Season 2. If you've not seen the show and would like to, off my recommendation, or not, then you're going to want to shut off this video because there will be spoilers. So plot synopsis. Again, 10 episodes, an hour long each, so quite a bit of content, so I'm not going to remember it all. I didn't write anything down, and I probably won't do that again like I did with Breaking Bad when I first started doing these. But so we start off where there was a failed hit from Kanan, who's in jail. And right, so the structure of the show is you have Felipe Lobos, who's the big distributor. You have a bunch of crews in New York kind of like vying for territory, sometimes working with or against each other. You have and the FBI trying to take down Felipe Lobos. And James St. Patrick, he's Ghost, and he is like pretty much the sure connect with Felipe Lobos. So they're all kind of, just doing the drug game. You have Lobos, Ghost, kind of, and then kind of like the rest of the Ghost and Tommy, kind of the rest of the organizations kind of working together for or against each other. And so the opening opens up again at the end of season 1. Holly gets shot in the club after Kanan, who is James's old kind of like business partner, associate, 50 Cent, showed him how to run the game. I don't know if you learned in season 1, but in this season you definitely learned that James set up Kanan to go to prison, and Tommy is not aware of that throughout. Later in the season, Tommy calls out James, but he denies it throughout. But they send the hit fails, and it hits Holly in the chest. So Holly recovers pretty quickly. The club gets shut down because of the violence. And so kind of another just kind of like a boring plot development for me was, so the Simon Stern, again, the characterizations, again, at season 1, probably when I'm watching a show, after about the first 3 episodes, I really get an opinion on the show. But going into the second season, again, I know the characterization, so it's easier to get into the roles and just know exactly who's who, as opposed to when season 1 I was like, who's the head of the Soldado Nation? That's clearly Ruiz. So it's just easier to follow the plot once once you're familiar with the characters. And so Simon Stern was the business guy I was talking about from season 1 that I didn't really get. But he plays a major role in season 2. So basically, the club gets shut down for the shooting. James has a dude working the club. His name's Cantos. And basically Simon Stern is the dude that offered him $6 million for the club, and James wanted a partnership in season 1. But now Simon Stern buys the building out from under James, and makes the business agreement where he has to clear 20% profit to be able to buy his club back, because the landlord has bought the building and he can terminate the lease. And so that's kind of going on throughout the season. and Cantos now becomes James's boss. So that's going on throughout the season, rather dull development. For the criminality, so they're hunting the chick. Again, season 1, the pink boots I thought was kind of over the top of just like, who's the spooky character with pink boots, some Latina chick that sent a hit on James. So they go down to Miami to try to find her and kill her. That's probably episode 4 or 5, 3 or maybe 3 to 5. But this season, Kanan gets out of jail. Again, remember Kanan. James Ghost's driver is Sean, which is Kanan's biological son. So Kanan's been in jail for I think it's 10 years. And so Kanan gets out. He's a rather rough and tumble character throughout for sure. But he's like, telling Sean to, drive for James, learn about him, get all like the information he can, without telling Sean directly to, he's trying to sabotage Ghost. He's like, just be aware and get information you can. And he gets out of prison without telling James. He gets back into, once he comes out, they're buddy pals, James, Kanan, and Tommy. And Kanan, you learn later that Kanan knew James set him up. Tommy's unaware of it throughout the season. James denies it to Tommy, but Kanan and James know what's going on together. So, Kanan, what does he do to begin with? It's Kanan, not Kanan. But I know he gets out. He's obviously going for the girls. He makes Sean get a blowy after he gets a blowy from the same chick, which is a good fatherly direction, but again played by 50 Cent. And so Kanan's got his main hit guy or right hand man Dre. And then like the other major players are, you have James and Tommy, you have Ruiz of the Soldado Nation, you have Vladimir, they call the Serb. You have Drifty, who's like this Haitian dealer. I believe that's the same character as Malo from The Wire. But I believe those are all the major drug like the crews in New York. And also Lobos, the head plug, is at war in Mexico with another cartel. So that's really the structure throughout the season. So they go down to Miami to kill this chick. And Dre, Kanan's dude, gets there before James does. And again, there's a lot of relationship. Another thing that keeping it just solidly at a B, definitely know more. It's just the relationship between James and Angela. Again, throughout, it's like, Angela, because they're throughout the season, Angela and the FBI really believe that Tommy Egan at the beginning is Ghost. And so they're trying to pin him, but the FBI really wants Lobos. And so you have a relationship again with James and Angela, where it's like they go down to Miami to be together. Angela starts throughout the season realizing that James is almost certainly mixed up in the thing. Later in the season, she realizes he's Ghost. But it's just like they're kind of like bonded by this like high school love, which is kind of like it's a weak plot development for me, especially for like a crime show. So Angela's definitely trying to get Lobos, and is wants to send Tommy to jail, but so in love with James that she's kind of on the edge throughout the season and makes kind of more of a definitive decision towards the end. But I just thought that was a weak plot development of just being bonded by the high school love as it's the world's biggest distributor in New York and a prosecuting attorney for the FBI. So I just thought that was a weak overall. And James, again, when he goes down to Miami to kill the chick that tried to hit him, he tells, again, throughout Tasha, he's like, I'm done with Angela at the beginning of the season, and he's not done with Angela at all. But Angela goes down to Miami with him. So they're planning their life. They're gonna have a club down here. He sees the chick in a diner, goes to chase her down, and she gets stabbed up by Dre, Kanan's dude, right before James gets to him. And when she's dying, James learns that that Rolla did not send the hits against since Ghost. And so you don't really get any remorse or anything about killing Rolla, but you learn that that's kind of in the show when James really becomes aware that it's Kanan all along. Just when he gets out of prison, he's being buddy with Tommy and James to try to learn about the business, but in reality, he's just trying to learn how to run the business and then whack them and take the plug. And so that's what James learns from the chick in Miami. He comes back. The hotel calls Tasha St. Patrick and was like, thank you for I hope you enjoyed your massage. And so at this point in the show, Tasha and James are back together after Tasha knew he was cheating on her with Angela. But once she gets that phone call, Tasha splits it off heavy with James. So most of the season, Tasha and James are separated. Still for the kids. Tasha knows all about the drugs, or his criminal career, but she gets involved with Sean the driver. So you have Sean the driver, who's Kanan's kid, starts boinking Tasha. And a lot of sex scenes for a crime show really doesn't do anything for me. I'm just gonna watch porn if I'm trying to watch some sex. But so that kind of happens, and so again a good amount of crime exists in this season. So I'm not exactly sure. Tommy and Holly. So again, Holly learns. Tommy starts confiding in Holly. Holly gets questioned by the feds. James tells her to leave the city. Gives her a fake ID. Angela thinks James kills Holly. She comes back and gets back together with Tommy at the very end. We'll get there, but that's just kind of going on throughout. But again, Holly knows James's ghost, so he kind of wants her out of the picture. And so I don't know what else happens. Who gets whacked this season? So I feel like a lot of people get whacked, but I'd say the biggest one, I feel like there has to be some violence in the first 5 episodes that I'm forgetting, besides just the hit chick getting killed, because I think that was pretty early on. But so the Vladimir the Serb, this is kind of a big development. He has a connect from Milan and doesn't really need to go through Lobos. And so James wants to kill Vladimir, and Tommy's like, what if we can create the demand or the desire for a partnership with Vladimir without having to kill him? So basically what they do is they go on this big raid and destroy a bunch of the products for the Serbians. They blame it on the Albanians, calling them gypsies. I think that's a historical thing. If you watch fictional shows and the writing's decent, you can catch historical things. So I don't know if Albanians call Serbians gypsies. But that's definitely a thing that Tommy paints it to cover it up. So it's James's crew and the Soldado Nation. And so when they're doing that, Dre is on the Kanan's dude, who James and Tommy aren't sure if he's really in the thick of things, but they go to destroy all this product. They do so. They want to do it without hurting anybody. But one guy shoots one of the Soldado Nation guys in the back, and Dre kills him. So Dre gets respect with the Ruiz and his crew, and James and Tommy know he's with it. And so actually, the beginning, a decently big plot development is after the shooting at Holly. Tommy's hiding out at his mother's, not really hiding out, but just keeping his distance from James. Again, Tommy's a very eccentric enforcer, bad boy type of dude. And so throughout the first couple episodes, James is trying to locate Tommy, which plays a relatively big role for, again, meeting up with one of the groups or one of these things. But so Tommy and James go back and forth throughout the season, again, trusting each other, not trusting each other. But after Dre earns his stripes, what else really happens? Big development is Tommy gets arrested with Felipe Lobos as a big deal, like doing a drug deal. Basically, Lobos, again, he's at war with somebody else in Mexico, another cartel, and he wants to come to New York to pick up all his cash. So that's really the big criminal development throughout the season, is they doubled the products since season 1, and now now Lobos needs to pick up his cash. So that's kind of the biggest overall plot development for the drug empire. And so when he comes to New York, he meets Tommy with a bunch of cash. Angela's the one that has the right address, and she's got a partial sketch from Ruiz's daughter, who again was Nomar, was the dude that got killed from season 1. I couldn't remember his name. And that plays a big role later. But Tommy gets arrested, basically refuses to roll on Lobos, and gets dismissed. He gets the case dismissed with prejudice because the sketch artist was used to identify him. Angela got from Ruiz's 14-year-old daughter, which is inadmissible, or it was just a lie to the court or something. So he gets in and out of prison pretty quickly. Lobos is not, and so then all of the people start getting hit. And so you just see, again, another kind of the pink shoe from season 1, but this time you just see a guy with a silencer. And first dude that he kills is Drifty, the Haitian dude, which I believe is the Malo, the big crime dude from The Wire, the later seasons of The Wire. Then you see Vladimir, he gets killed. Felipe Lobos, he gets stabbed up. Not sure if he's I don't know if you know if he's alive or dead by the end of the season. And Julio again is the dude from below Tommy running all the street stuff. he's in this. He's not in this season too much, but Drifty dies. Vladimir dies. Ruiz gets sent away. And that's not clear to me why. It turns out, again, it's James killing all the people to basically try to get out of the game. Lobos gets stabbed up, and so he's trying to like get out of the game entirely. That's really towards like the absolute end of the season. Another major development was, Kanan is trying to, again, take over the drug business, have James and Tommy killed. His main guy is Dre. And so he sends Sean, who's now boinking Tasha because James is boinking Angela. Sean and Tasha plan to run away. And so before he does that, Kanan wants Sean to kill James, and he agrees to do so. Remember, Sean is James's driver. He has a silenced pistol. He's going to go do it in this back alley, and there's construction, so he has to go somewhere else. And so Sean pulls up at Truth, the nightclub, one day, and has the silencer gun. He hasn't killed anybody. He's kind of iffy with the grip, and Ghost takes it off of him, and it's basically, leave New York. I could kill you here, but leave New York. And so he goes back. Sean goes back to Kanan. It's like, I failed, or Kanan's like, I see by your clean suit you failed again. And Sean kind of goes off on him, telling me he's just a thug. You're not my dad, or you're something like that. And Kanan's like, yeah. Then he shoots him. So Kanan whacks Sean. And so once Sean gets whacked by Kanan, and Dre has to take away his body, Dre's like, and Dre kind of plays James throughout the season as well, trying to like learn more about him, work for him, kind of give Kanan information. But once Kanan murks Sean, his own kid, Dre's not too certain about where he lies with Kanan. So he still plays along with Kanan to it's not sure. Once Kanan whacks Sean, it's really not sure where Dre's allegiances lie, which I thought was a good plot development, a good characterization. And so that occurs. And then that's before James kills all the people. And so they get overthrown. Again, Tommy gets thrown out. James and Tommy have a confrontation towards the very end of the season. Because again, Tommy and James throughout the season go back and forth about trusting each other or not trusting each other. And it turns out, again, that James, again, they're kind of bonded by high school love, but Angela and James both play each other. Angela tracks James' phones, and James steals the identification, the sketch artist from I think it's Isabel Ruiz, but Ruiz's daughter, that got Tommy locked up. And so it's like, you see how he was playing Angela. And so they both rough and tumble. Well, actually, no, originally, James, once all of this stuff's going on, they're going to kill Kanan. And so Tommy sets up Kanan. Kanan thinks Tommy's tight with him and has given up on James. And James sets up Kanan, or Tommy sets up Kanan. It looks like it. So James and Kanan fight. They both disarm each other a couple times. And then James stabs him and sets the place on fire. And it's assumed Kanan is dead. And so then James and Tommy have a confrontation. James is like, Tommy, why weren't you there? You could have killed me. Again, Kanan and James have like a rough and tumble. Either of them could have died. James gets injured pretty bad. And Tommy's like, I was doing something, or he runs into Holly and learns that James is the one that sent Holly away. So Tommy's confronting Ghost about the fake ID and sending away Holly as the reason for not being there when Kanan was set up. They both pull guns on each other, and that's when you see Dre pulls a gun on Tommy and is like, put the gun down now. So James and Tommy kind of go their separate ways. It doesn't seem like they have like killing beef. They're not going to go after each other. It doesn't seem like just like in the plot development. But then you have at the very end of the season, again, James and Angela kind of vow to be together, even though they played each other. We're 100% like kind of on the opposite teams legally, but we're certainly in love throughout the season. Angela agrees that she'll be with James if he stops being Ghost. But that was his plan. And so also another major development was, again, James has to clear 20% profit on Truth nightclub to be able to buy it back. But he kind of like figures out that Simon Stern is working the books illegally, and his wife hates him and he's going to divorce him. And so James works with the wife to kind of like just like get the clubs back. And so he gets the club as well as two other ones. So at the end of the season, James owns his club. Tasha, again, identifies Sean's body. So she'll be upset from that, I'm sure. But it's not really sure. James and Angela want to be together. It's not really sure where Tasha stands in knowing of that, because I don't remember. But walking in the park, Tommy, Holly, and the dog, they're kind of all happy-go-lucky, and Tommy gets a call from Lobos. Yeah, Lobos is definitely still alive at the end of the season. And so Lobos calls Tommy and is like, hey man, you're going to be my sole distributor. James is out. You need to kill Ghost. If you don't kill Ghost, I'm going to kill you, Holly, and the dog. So that would be certainly a big development through season 3. And anything else? And Angela and James are together. That's kind of like the biggest development at the end is Lobos putting Tommy in front of everything. And that's kind of where the season ends. And so again, I might have missed some development, but those are the things that definitely stood out to me, or I remembered as big developments. And so again, I like this one. Overall B, I thought it was entertaining. Way better development on the characterization and plot development. Still a lot of sex scenes, still a lot of getting just like relationships and emotionality that just doesn't strike much for me. But I thought the crime was better. And again, like you see them, in season 1, you would barely see like them around like cocaine or drug or like money or something. And so I just thought it was a lot more, as a crime show, you see a lot more, it felt like they were actually running a cocaine empire as opposed to just trying to run a nightclub with some criminality in the background. So overall, I thought season 2 was way better. So there you have it. That is my review for Power Season 2. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.